Hello guys, how are we doing and welcome back to the channel. I have another Help with Harrz where we're reviewing a subscriber's gameplay to hopefully make them better at Black Ops 6 ranked play. If you want to submit a video yourself, you can do so using the link down in the description. It's called a Submit a Help with Harrz form. All you need to do is upload a gameplay to YouTube or upload a VOD to Twitch, add the link to the form, fill in the form and send it over and submit it. As I say, today we're reviewing Mitch's gameplay. Today's focus is going to be primarily around how to win more solo queuing. It's going to be a bit more focus on how to read where your teammates' position are, how to understand the map better, how to be a little bit more influential on the score of the game, even though sometimes you might do really well like individually. You can see here, this is the end leaderboard. Mitch absolutely pops off. They get 51 kills, only 29 deaths. With a minute on time with decent amount of captures and objective kills, but it's still a really narrow win. So if you find like you're solo queuing and you find yourself in these exact situations quite a lot, this video is going to be hopefully for you in how that, obviously these stats aren't the only things that matter. There are a lot of intangibles out there which might mean that you get less kills and less hill time, but the score will be won by more. So we're going to be going through that, but before we get into the gameplay, we're going to be going through the submission form that Mitch has sent in, and then we're going to be giving a little bit of a summary at the end with some key tips that Mitch can take back and hopefully just work on to hopefully improve their ability to solo queue and win by more. Because if you guys don't know, the more you win by, the more you SR you get, especially when you get to like Diamond, Crim, Eerie lobbies. So this is Mitch's form. They play on PC 28 hours a week, which is probably about standard. I think most people play about that many hours. At least those of you who want to take this seriously. Current rank is Diamond 1. Their highest rank last year was Diamond 1, so they're about where they were last year, which is an interesting thing to bear in mind. FOV of 103. They play on a really good sensitivity. They do play on controller. And they play with an Xbox Elite 2 controller with paddles. Really nice controller. A decent monitor and a decent headset. The only thing I would say about the setup is that the Elite 2 controller does have input delay over a PlayStation controller, so if you upgrade to a PS5 pad, you will find the game responds quicker. You probably don't feel it too much now, but if you went to PS5 and then back to Xbox, you'd feel a huge difference. It's a real game changer. And as well, I think if you're on PC, you're limited to 165 Hz, which is fine, but we'll see how much frames you get actually in game. One thing you think I need to focus on in your gameplay is being able to control the map and gunfights more. You solo queue 90% of the time and find myself with either most kills or objective time and still losing matches, which is sort of what we've just been through. I almost always have comms, but my teammates rarely get comms back. Fine. I've been playing a flex role this entire season. I've historically played as an AR in past games, but towards the end of MW3, I played around with the sub and started playing better. I struggle with gun choice sometimes, and I'm wondering if there are things and any tips around that. I've also been on controller for about 6 months, so my shot is inconsistent sometimes. Any tips on how to improve that? P.S. I know that this is a high good game, but I feel like I did well and the team still barely won. This has been happening a lot recently. I do have a ton more videos if you need a different example for review. Thank you. So just taking a couple things from this. The fact that you've been on controller for 6 months is why it's inconsistent. The more you play, the more consistent you'll be. Just make sure you are warming up every time you get on. Spend 15 minutes just in a bot lobby, shooting bots and aiming to have good shots, not just to shoot bots, just to warm your fingers up, but aim to get your accuracy better, like make that an objective within that 15-minute session, and that will generally help that. And the more you play with your controller, the more consistent you're going to get. 6 months isn't a long time, so just bear that in mind. Don't have your expectations too high for yourself, because at the end of the day, you're only human. You can only learn it as quickly as your body can learn it. So yeah, let's get into the gameplay, see what we can see. Let's rewind it all the way back to the beginning. So it's on Skyline Hardpoint. Interestingly, your PC gets an unbelievable amount of frames, 265 for those of you who can't see, and you also on 6 ping, so the fact that you've only got 165 Hz monitor does limit your ability. So the Xbox controller and the monitor, if you had spare cash, I'm not saying you do, would be an easy upgrade for you. You've clearly got the PC for it, and I feel like those things might be holding you back from that perspective. But let's see how your gameplay looks, because there's obviously things in your gameplay that you can probably improve. The gameplay is obviously Diamond 1. I see you're playing mainly against Plats and a couple of Diamonds as well. Okay, a really nice opening. So on Skyline, you really want to make sure that, again, I'm going to zoom in slightly here. On Skyline for P1, there are 3 main lanes you've got to watch. Okay, you've got to watch bottom, front, which is like sort of your pool area, sort of this zone. You have kitchen, and then you have top cat. So they're the three main lanes you want to watch. And then if you can't quite identify where one player is out of the enemy team, maybe check the under, but you want to make sure all three lanes are covered. As a sub player, getting on the hill is probably the okay thing to do. I think that you can't do much as a sub on the hill because any line of sights from the hill are really long. So say, for example, whether you're on the hill trying to shoot into the bedroom, that's quite a long line of sight, although that will be the shortest line of sight. Whether you're on a hill trying to shoot to top cat, quite a long line of sight. And then whether you're on a hill trying to shoot into kitchen, again, quite a long line of sight. So unless you're only challenge bedroom, you're pretty much useless on the hill with a sub, but that's fine. We'll see how it goes. If I was a sub player, I would probably prefer to have this kitchen control. Just from looking at this map yourself and being in the game and playing this before, you know there's so many obstacles around that kitchen area which you can dive between, you can slide cancel between, and essentially making sure that the enemy can't get through this kitchen basically tells you that the enemy can't get through unless they get through P1, which is or top mid, which is a really important thing to have. And then from here, you can also watch anyone when the enemy spawn in. You can watch anyone that pushes out this archway with having a sub. But that's just my two takes. That's my little take. But you've got a nice two-piece. I feel like Gunny seems okay so far. When you're solo queuing or when you struggle to win games, you really need to be conscious of where your teammates are spawning. And the fact that your teammates have just spawned P2 side is a good thing. So you don't need to be concerned too much about that. Okay, let's break this down a little bit. So we know there's a guy kitchen. This is a real horrible angle to take because of where your teammates are. Essentially, if you imagine on Skyline, there are 4 spawn corners, okay? In the simplest way possible, I'm really simplifying this. If you have control of this area of the map, the enemies are going to spawn here. If you have control of, let's say you have control of this area of the map, so you have kitchen control and this side of control, the enemies are going to spawn here. So the fact that your teammates are where they're positioned, you can see on the minimap you've got a player here, you're here, the enemies are, your teammates just spawned in over here. This tells you realistically you only have control of this area of the map, which means that the enemy's safest spawn is actually over here. So when they run off of spawn, they're either going to go top, unless they wrap all the way around, they're either going to run top or hit through kitchen. And the fact you've got no emphasis in kitchen means you should be staying down from this, okay? They're going to push this kitchen zone here, where you can see on where my cursor is, and you've got no cover. That's their likely push from their spawn, and that's the most open push you have. None of your team are watching it, so you just need to make sure you're not dying from it. Okay, so having the awareness that you don't have a teammate in this zone at all means you make sure you can't die from there, unless you have an AR, and that's where you're looking from hill. You need to make sure you can't die from that area because you know you have no teammates backing you up in that zone. Another thing I want to add to this particular gunfight is here, you knew there was a player in that room. You have a stun, you have a nade, use them, okay?
There's one U, one bedroom. Yeah. Dead.
Okay, we've just spawned here, which means the enemy's got a little bit more of a, imagine that's the sort of control the enemy has, so your safest spawn is here. So you can assume that the enemies have spawned in over here, they've got P1 control, they might have top bedroom control, but the chances of them being in kitchen are fairly slim. You can probably run to kitchen at the same time they could, based on your positioning. But yeah, you know they're on the hill anyway, based on where you spawned. The important thing here is, because you've spawned here, you need to make sure that, and that you're looking at the minimap here. That's the thing, you look at the minimap when your teammates are getting kills, looking at your minimap when your teammates are spawning in. You need to look at the minimap just a glance, like a millisecond. You need to look at the minimap when you've just spawned in, and you can clearly see, based on where your positioning is, nobody has piano. And you know where P2 is here, the most obvious push for your enemies to go from P1 is through to piano, which is the worst case scenario, because it means if they push all the way through, they're going to get good spawns. You're going to end up spawning here, meaning it's a really hard push for P2. So as soon as you spawn in, you notice that nobody's got this piano side. You need to make sure that you go that way, you run underneath, and make sure the enemy can't push through that side. Make sure you're the blocker to their route into the better spawn.
Spawn kitchen side. There's another one.
So you just got 3 kills. The last guy's on time. I'm not too concerned, but because of how far push your teammate is and nobody's blocking, I wouldn't be surprised if the enemy spawned to your left. But it's very, yeah, there we go. So for Harrz, obviously spawn guides I would always advise watching. I've got a load of spawn guides. If you're new to the channel, Mitch, or anyone, spawn guides are definitely worth it. It's a playlist on my channel, and it will just tell you how the spawns work really in quite a detailed level. On hills, similar to this one, where it's quite symmetrical. If you have more, if I draw a grid here, if you have more players over the line or a higher push over the line than you have past the, like your side of the line, the enemies will flip. So say for example, if we run that back here, 3 players have just died. You're here. You have a teammate here, and then you have a teammate. It looks like all the way top bed over here. Now, I don't know where your other player is. They've just spawned in here. So because of how far pushed, and it's not about how many numbers you've got here. If you imagine this middle line, if I draw a middle line here, like so, that's how far pulled back past that halfway line your team are. The fact you've got a player on your team pushed further than that means that they're likely to flip. Okay, in order to stop that from happening, you need to make sure that you are back here, or you or someone on your team is as far back past this line than your teammate is over. So every meter or every step this player here goes forward into their spawn, you need someone on your team equally going further back. Otherwise, the enemies are simply going to flip. Now, this would have been averted if off spawn you, instead of running straight into kitchen, you ran bedroom, you ran to piano. As I said, if you'd have gone from where you were into piano, you'd have stopped that spawn because you'd have been here. Your teammate would have been here. By the time they spawn in, they'd have just spawned over there because that's the safest spawn for them. But the fact that you've got no map control of this zone and your teammates pushed all the way through to like this area, and you have no one actively blocking, they have spawned behind you. Now I knew that because I understand the spawns, so that was it's not just the AR responsibility to understand the spawns, it's everybody's in the team. So that lack of knowledge and the fact that you've got a teammate pushed up there has allowed them to spawn in behind you, which, yeah, you could say is that teammate's fault. But if you understood the spawns, you could have wrapped back and made sure that was blocked, waited for the enemies to spawn in, and then push forward. You don't need to block all the time, only when you expect the enemies to spawn in. So they've all spawned piano. That's a fine gunfight. Okay, as soon as you get this kill on the hill, you no longer need to be on the hill. Okay, I think the fact that you've got a teammate on the hill and he's further on the hill than you are means you can then pull back and, you know, release the pressure and allow your teammate to be the only person on the hill. You fully commit to the hill. You're on here. You have, you know, you haven't put a trophy down. You died to a nade, which is tough. But you do good damage, to be fair. You do a decent amount of damage, and you've still got spawn. Shout out to this player here, who's come all the way back, or whoever it was who came all the way back to assist you in those kills. They were the reason that you've kept them spawns.
You're going backstairs. Maybe side action.
So your teammates, I believe your teammates just spawned out. Yeah. So you spawned in. Your teammates just died. You get that kill. Then you notice instantly your teammate is spawned here, okay? The problem, I think in this gameplay you might be in a team, but when you're solo queuing, you need to be so conscious of where your teammates are and where they spawn. So the fact that your teammate has just spawned out, as well as the fact you just see them on the radar, essentially tells you the enemy have got control of this zone one way, shape or form. Okay, so you need to be very careful. You need to play your life now, because as P2 pops, you're going to want to make sure that the enemies are also spawning out over here. So you need to do as much time as you can, buy your team some time. Okay, you don't really need to engage in gunfights. You buy your team some time, play your life here, allow your team to get to you, and then you can push the hill together.
You're going backstairs. Maybe side action.
Side source dead.
Spawned out.
Good concise comms, I do like that. Even though it's hard to communicate sometimes, you are communicating effectively. We've gone right into the spawns, which is good. Good blood. Nice gameplay that. So again, importantly, when P2 is up, you need to make sure that the pool side is covered, you need to make sure the kitchen side is covered, and you need to make sure cat side is covered. And then the person on the hill can literally just watch the elevator. It's as simple as that. So you need to be doing one of those 4 things. So if we rewind the situation, we do well to clear this, to be fair. It's a little bit mishmash. Your teammates have spawned on you because you did well getting back into the spawn.
Stuff good. I'm gonna watch the back.
Cider.
Yeah.
We got spawn now.
Now, what I would say, when you get kills here, you know your teammates just spawned in right here, so you know this backside is clear. You've got also a teammate here, so you know it's clear. When you get this kill and the hill goes white, you should be the one to get on the hill, okay? You are the furthest one back in the map. Your teammates are going to spawn over here somewhere. You should allow your teammates who are further towards the enemy spawn to push through. Be the first line of defense, and you get the hill time here. That's what should be happening.
Stuff good. I'm gonna watch the back.
Cider.
You already have a teammate here. You don't really need to watch this. The only reason you need to pick up kitchen is if this player to your right dies, but this player's sort of back here and they're watching like this, so they can see if anyone goes up the side stairs, they can see if anyone comes through kitchen. They've got that full transparency, so you don't need to take this route. I'm interested to see what you do here, however.
We got spawn now.
Okay, I don't mind this actually.
Sorry. No, you're good now.
Spawned out.
Again, we've got Sun and an 8. I'm not seeing much use of your util here,
Just gonna die anyway.
which is interesting to see.
Top cat right now.
Damn, Thort that pounder got me in the bag.
They're all going to be spawning kitchen side.
Dead.
You guys spawns. What's coming P?
Okay, nice gameplay. Two of you don't need to be on the hill. There's something massive here. You're both sat on the hill, just soaking up hill time. You don't need to be on the hill whatsoever.
One cat. Fuck, I got stuck when I was trying to drop that. One kitchen, one cat. Kitchen dead. Another kitchen. Front door.
Unlucky.
One kitchen, one cat. Kitchen dead.
I don't mind this dive. I'd have preferred to see you dive behind the table because you've actually got no cover here. You've just opened yourself up just as much as you were. If anything, dive behind this wall to your left. I don't mind the movement. You're really weak though, so it's a little bit of a tough one. Now, some constructive criticism here. I'm going to go back quite far. You just get those kills. Why are we then jumping into the hill? Okay, why are we joining our teammate in the hill? We seem to be doing this a lot where we clear the hill and we're jumping on it with our teammate. I don't think we strictly need to do that. I do think that's a great two-piece, but you need to allow your teammates to try and get that. What you've done is you've given up the map control that you could have obtained. So instead of getting on the hill there, you could have pushed back through gym and either cut them off running through bedroom or cut them off coming through kitchen. By the looks of your positioning, they're going to be coming from kitchen because your teammates over here. So instead of jumping up the piano there when you get that kill, allow your teammates to pick up that last guy. There's two of them there. It's one player. Trust them to get that kill. And what you should be doing is pushing into kitchen and being a real difficult person at the new hill. That's what you should be doing. Trust your teammates to get the hills. Because there's 25 seconds left, you don't really need to be too concerned about the back spawn. If they get it, they get it. Because P3 is here and P4 is over here anyway. But you don't need to jump on the hill with your team at every point. That's what I'm trying to get at.
You guys spawns. What's coming piano? What's coming?
So yes, you're getting hill time, but it's useless hill time. You've joined your teammate to just get on the hill time as well. You'd be getting them points no matter what anyway.
One cat. Fuck, I got stuck when I was trying to drop that.
Yeah, and then this happens, which is unfortunate. We do get the kill, and instead of diving into cover, we just over dive there. But it is what it is. That's a movement tech.
All the way back down.
Cool dead.
Good. Pushing in.
There's one line down.
Okay, we spawned. So based on this, I'll tell you what's happened here. So because we spawned back here, it tells you that you haven't spawned here, and these are the spawns. It tells you that your enemy's got majority of control of this right-hand side, but because you haven't spawned here and you spawned here, it tells you that you may have already got control of kitchen.
The other one's that pool. All the way back down.
Cool dead.
Good. I'm pushing in.
There's one line down. Fucking wait.
I like this route. We're trying to take a little bit of a flank.
He's playing table. 2 table right now.
Now, what's interesting here?
Backed up.
Ooh, we just missed a guy. He just jumped over him.
All the
Playing table. 2 table right now.
Okay, so these head glitches here are very, very usually played on. I think you assume no one would be on there, which is fine. You just got a real bad timing on the guy that just went under you.
Backed up.
one's all the way back on back.
I'm interested to see what we do now. Okay, so they're pushed quite. I think they've pushed through P3. Otherwise, you'd have spawned barbecue to your right here where your teammate just was. But you've got a nice little pinch on the hill here. Let's see what we can do.
Bar. 2 bar right now.
Good damage. Nice 2. I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
They're behind us. Yeah, they're behind us. They're behind us.
He's just all the way back there.
Okay, now I don't mind this push. Your teammates are getting absolute. So where you, based on where you just spawned and where your teammates are, let's say P3 is active because that's what it is. Based on where you've just spawned, the enemies are going to be spawning here. Okay, so they're either going to be running through art or they're going to be pushing your front. The fact that you've just killed somebody and you've just killed someone here and you know they're not pushing art, it's safe to guarantee that the remaining two are pushing here. So what I'd love to have seen you do is throw a stun, throw your nade into sort of this zone just to help your teammates out for a couple of seconds. Okay, they're going to get a lot of pressure from the front any second now because there's a couple of people there. Just help your teammates out, throw a nade, throw a stun. I like what you're doing by pushing, trying to flank. I really love that, but you could be helping your teammates out a lot more by just throwing a nade or stun into this area. Just, you know, as you're coming through, you throw it to your right, throw it like that way, just to deter their push a little bit, but just use your utility here to help the team out. But that's a really good kill. They're going to communicate that pinch. That player's going to spawn behind you now because of where you're pushing.
I'm still spawning out.
And I really love this play.
He killed me on pull.
Okay. Your teammates probably just spawned behind someone.
Behind a table or behind a counter. Two of them.
I got a new spawn. I'm hiding in the back right here.
They had 3 on old.
Don't die, don't die, don't die. Nice. This is a good play. So right now, your job is to play the cutoff. So the enemies are here. Based on where you are, they're going to either be spawning all the way out over here or based or here. But because of where your teammate is, you've got a guy in closet, which you know about as well. But you either need to be, your teammates blocking as well. They're back here. You need to be basically between where they are, which is either here and here, and where they need to be, which is here. So you either need to be making sure they can't come through that way, you need to make sure they can't come through that way. The chances of them being up here are very slim because they'd have been spawning back here. So the only way they'd have been up there is if instead of running to P3, which they're going to because they're trying to rotate to new, they run up and try and take a route across, which is fine. It's fine checking that. But you want to make sure you've got the first offense, you've got the first defense secured first. So your teammate spawning, he's just commed, you're still spawning out. That's because you've got a person in closet.
I killed one in there.
That's 2 down. There's one going back. One's going back.
Okay, so all of your teammates are spawning out now, and they've all just got off the hill. So what you need to have in mind, again, you need to be watching the minimap to know where your teammates are. Your enemies spawned out. Your teammates spawned out, which means that the enemies are have pushed through this side enough so that your teammates can't spawn here. Okay, so you know they've pushed through that way. You've got no team support. You need to try and play your life and wait for your team.
Oh yeah, he's a bathtub.
Yeah.
We got spawn.
Nice, good spawns. So you've just spawned here. Imagine again 4 corners of the map. You've just spawned there. The enemies are likely to be coming from this side because of where you're spawned. If you were spawned here, the enemies would have been coming through kitchen. But because you spawned here, it's safe to say the kitchen is a safe push. So what I'd love to see you now is, I don't know what you're going to do because you spawned here. The enemies are going to be spawning here. They're going to be running bedroom. They're either going to be bedroom. They're going to be running atop the catwalk, but they're going to be coming from this right-hand side unless they run all the way through the map into kitchen. Okay. I want to see you as a sub player play in between their spawn and the objective, whether you go bedroom, art, play kitchen close, or go top, whatever. That's what I want to see you do here.
Two bedroom, both clean.
Yeah, I actually don't mind this because your teammates clearly need the help.
Two bedroom, both clean. One dead, I'm stuck. Two bedroom.
Okay.
We got spawn.
Top bedroom dropping.
I don't necessarily think. So this is good. This is sort of what I said. So they're here. They're come bedroom clearly. You're trying to push out that bedroom push, which I really like. I don't think you need to sprint at them. All you need to do is be patient. You've got a sub in your hand. There's 2 of them there. There's clearly 2 of them there. You are going to lose that gunfight. You're about to slide into 2 people, and you know there's 2 people there because you can see it on the mini map. You don't do that. Okay, it's almost a guaranteed kill unless they're both one shot. It's almost a guaranteed death. You got that player. You then slid it again into that second player. the better thing to do here, because you're going to be outnumbered, you need to assume they're full health, especially if you're solo queuing. I know you're getting comments, but if you were solo queuing, just assume they've got full health. Instead, play your life, throw a nade in that doorway, and just lay down and wait for them to get on the hill. Pre-aim it, if anything, okay? But you've got a nade, you've got a stun. You could easily get a free double kill there with a nade if you wanted to. Throw a stun, Semtex in the doorway, lay down, and wait for them to push. That's as simple as it needs to be. You don't need to slide into every gunfight with a sub.
One dead. I'm stunned.
Back of our side.
Now, I think they're going to have spawns now because they've pushed through, so you've spawned top you 2.
On bottom, I'm on pool.
And you playing your life there would have bought your team a lot of time.
He just shot me through
Stairs,
the wall.
backstairs.
I did one. On bottom, I'm on pool.
Okay, because of how long's left, I'm not too concerned about breaking this. You're over the halfway line. But I'm not. You've opened yourself up massively here. So no matter what corner they're in, if there was a player on the toilet, if there was a player on the bath, you are dead to both. Both of those players will be shooting you. Now I know there's only a player in bath, so I don't really mind this. But you need to narrow your point of view into the hill as much as you can and cut one off at a time. So let's pause. Let's slow this down a second here. So I don't mind the drop in. I don't think that's a terrible thing to do whatsoever. But you either need to stop the slide there to check above the bathtub, or you slide all the way so that you're hidden from the bathtub, but you can see here. You shouldn't slide and then cancel it so that you're completely open to the entire cover from their side. And you have a stun, you have a nade. Let's see them use it. You don't. Chances are they're on a head glitch. If that's where they're going to be on the bathtub, they know you're coming through here quicker than they do because you can see the shadows in the bedroom. They can see you push this quicker than they can. They can see you push this quicker than you can. They're going to know you're coming. You're not going to, you need to be using your tactic. This isn't a smart push, is what I'm trying to evaluate.
Stairs, backstairs.
I destroyed their trophy in there. About it though.
Okay, one more push. Then we just set up for New Hill, I think. You do not want to go behind the spawns.
Ready for new guys, get ready.
Bedroom dead.
You do not want to do this. That player now, if we remember, P2 is here. P1 is there. The better spawns for P1, you want this side spawn for P1 so you don't have to rotate to P2. What you're doing is at the back of P4 here, you've pushed around the back, making sure that any kills your teammates get are going to spawn the enemies at the better hill. So you push around the back here. When there's this much time left at P4, you just want to hit the front over and over again, keeping them spawning here because that's the worst spawn for the new hill. The fact that you've gone back here, you've blocked this spawn for this player. That player's now going to spawn all the way out, unless you die instantly, which I don't think is going to happen. And they're going to have the better setup for P1 and P2.
Two in hill, one shower, one tub.
Both dead.
Good two-piece.
Oh, tubes. They spawned there still.
Met new.
I don't think they did.
We're spawning better
We'll get
side
up top.
still.
Okay, maybe they did. Maybe they did spawn bed still.
Another closet.
Bedroom and closet.
We haven't seen that player though, so maybe they were kitchen or some shit. Yeah, there we go.
Launcher back squad, just make sure we still spawn there.
Oh no, he's on us in the back. He's on top of the.
Ah, there he is. That's the player. So that's the player we were missing who I think spawned out.
Bedroom. Going cat.
So don't mind your passiveness here. You're guaranteeing the spawns. Your teammate has just spawned out, which tells you that the enemies, and they've spawned here, which P1's live. They've spawned here, which tells you the enemies are over in this area.
Another one going upstairs, piano side.
Yeah, we should have been aware of that quite a little bit earlier there.
Side.
So
Piano stairs.
because they're on hill time and your teammates are spawning out, instead of worrying about the hill, you need to really worry about that and you don't flip unless you've got enough hill time here, enough of a chance to break this P1 quite quickly and get on it.
Yeah, they got me. 2 point.
I'm over analyzing everything at the moment. I'm gonna slow it. I'm gonna speed it up a little bit because I know we're only a little bit through the game and it's a close game. Good kill. We're driving all the way through. A nice two-piece. Hopefully get the new spawns.
Still jacuzzi. Last guy's jacuzzi.
I'm wrapping back piano. Yeah, we got spawn now.
We spawn here.
Okay, that's a nice play. You've ignored the hill. You got to the spawns. Really nice.
Watching cat.
But you haven't. In order to do that, you've had to give up P1 completely because you let that player spawn in over here. Just remember that one little play has made them get pretty much all of this P1 time, or your main focus has been trying to get P2, whilst they're just soaking up P1 for absolute free.
Scan points, one shot.
Okay, that was it. I'm going to break this down. There is 4 seconds left of this. At most, all you do here is save the enemy from getting 4 seconds. You're playing right now a risky play for 4 seconds. All you need to do, especially considering you just got 2 enemies killed, all you need to do is ensure that you play your life. You need to, you know, your team should be relatively set up at P2. They're either going to be spawning kitchen or top back here. Oh, that's an awful drawing. They're going to be spawning back here or back here. You know there's going to be one coming off here, so you can play the cut. Don't get me wrong, you can play that cut. But this challenge is a little bit of a silly challenge because you're playing. At most, you win. You're taking 4 seconds off them. And worst case scenario, I think that's what's happened, is you spawn out after this. But what you should have done here, if you wanted to kill this player, just wait for them to get off the hill. This is a risky challenge that you don't want to be doing, especially when you're fighting for so little hill time at this point. All you need to do, especially when you're weak, this is when you back off. You then reach out with less bullets, and then we've died. Based on the minimap, your enemies are through kitchen. You have absolutely zero control of this kitchen area here, so I would imagine the enemies have just walked all the way through, and that's where you spawned out in a second. But all you need to be doing here, when there's so little time on P1 left, is just play cuts. Try and determine where they're spawning and play between the spawn and P2, and you're looking good.
Gunpoint's one shot.
Now again, you get the elim, which is good for the stats, but you've just died and spawned all the way out, which has enabled... it's like weakened the defense. You'd have got that kill anyway, but you'd have still been alive and you'd still been in that position if you just waited.
Side door, one shot. Dead.
Good kill.
One's, all the way. Oh wait, that's you guys.
No way you just let me hot swap you. Piano stairs.
I like this push. Ignore the hill. You're the furthest push forward. Let your teammates get on the hill. Absolutely fine. They either spawn bedroom or kitchen. You're giving them... Yeah, you should let your teammates do all this. Just push either kitchen or piano side. I like this. Now, you can say to your team, I have everything. Look at this positioning, right? You've got them if they come kitchen. You've got them if they come through P1. All they need to do is make sure they can't come top catwalk. This is really nice positioning here. You can communicate that. Absolutely fine. This is what we should have seen the first P2.
Yeah, I'm going new.
One's in the back. One's in the back. Oh, I ran out of ammo. One's you. One's in the back. One's in the back.
Ah, that's a really tough gunfight.
One's you.
But hopefully your teammate trades you. They do.
Deep. One guy in the deep.
Cable.
I got one.
Good kill. A really, really, really tough kill. Again, there was 2 of them.
That seems like there's 2 on full.
No, so spawn close. The fact that you've just spawned here can mean a couple of things. It can mean, which is something you should be aware of, it can mean that someone has pushed their way around this side so much that you haven't spawned here and it's just forced you to spawn there, and the enemies are this side. So sometimes what can happen is when you spawn here, it's because the enemies are spawning here, but there's someone on their way to the back. So just whenever you spawn here, just maybe circle back a little bit, double check no one's pinching, because it can happen. There's a possibility that that is happening. And then if no one's there, you can then maybe run up top and jump down and then support the time or something like that. But you need to, if you spawn ever where you've just spawned, circle back and just make sure no one's pinching, because otherwise you'd have probably spawned a little bit further back if that was the case. If that wasn't the case.
Jim.
He's one shot, Jim.
Yeah, I think what's happened is true because your teammates just spawned out. But that's just knowledge. That's just reps. That's just learning from these mistakes and understanding the spawns in every single detail. That would have helped you read that. At the point that you've seen your teammates spawn out, though, you should turn back round and play for the better spawn. So your teammates just spawned here. You know that means the enemies are in this area, and you know P4 is literally there. So allow this teammate to push on the time. You then can push bottom bedroom. You can then either push out this side. I wouldn't recommend that though, because you've got a sub. Push bottom bedroom. And then the chances are there's people who are on the enemy team doing this exact same route, but the other way around, and you're literally just going to be chasing them, shoot them in the back. But allow your teammate. Don't sit on time and wait for your teammates to get to it. You've already got 2 teammates there. Both of you at this point should turn around, throw your stuns and nades into this area and this area. Wait for this teammate to get on the hill, and then you can push around to the spawn again.
Spawning fireplace.
There's one P1, one Jim. One you. Another you.
That got me. He's on table.
Okay, so we've currently got the bad spawns.
There's another one. Oh, I got him all sliding off the map.
It's tough. That's a good gunfight.
Table.
We are sliding into every single kill. I've noticed we're sliding into every single
Oh, I
kill.
got him all sliding off the map.
And sometimes it doesn't pay off. I think we're moving a little bit too much. Just a pre-aim and a hold in your eye in is really good skill to have and really good discipline to have.
Door tap founder, one shot.
We need to be using our stuns and nades, brother.
One's behind bar.
Literally, you jiggle this fireplace, stun and nade these closets, these cupboards, and you're probably going to get them weak. You can chow them, they're going to take cover. They're probably going to be, you know, a little bit more out the zone.
He's bought a bed.
There's 10 seconds left. Why bother fighting the front at this point? I don't mind this whatsoever.
Bought a bed dead. One shot shower. One shot shower, dude.
Shower dead.
So you've got what info you have right now is your teammates have just died. You can use the info and where they spawn to help your knowledge. You've got a player who's probably going to be either coming from the old hill through this way. You've also got a player at the back. This player on the hill might not come through this way. They might go through art. But this player here, you do not want to push down here and take on that gunfight. That player is on a disgusting heady. They probably have an AR. You've got a sub. Honestly, you're losing that unless you're prime simp or something. If I were you in this position, wait to see if this player. I mean, throw an aid and a stun, and if you get a hit marker with an aid, you can chow them because they're going to be 2 bullets at most. But I would preferably love to see you wait to see if this player comes back, get a free kill. And if this player, what I'm thinking right now is if this player comes back, you get this kill. This player who's back here is then going to be focused on watching you come down the stairs, allowing the rest of your team to flood the front of the hill whilst this player's so much focused on you. And whilst that's happening, you can then turn around and jump back down through the skylight or something like that.
Still spawning piano.
You do this, but I think you leave yourself open a little bit to the left. That's really nice.
Backside.
Oh, they're not there anymore. That's interesting. They've left that. That's a bit of a silly chow.
Dead.
Nice. Play your life. You guaranteed your teammate spawns. They're now spawning out. They're probably spawning piano.
I'm watching top.
I spawned backstairs.
Oh, he's in door.
He's
Oh,
one
that's
shot.
the bedroom.
2 level point, 2
Triple
level
hit,
point.
triple hit. They got through there.
Okay, your teammates need to get a kill there. I am going to break this down slightly, though.
Door.
I spawned backstairs.
So let's rewind this. That's 2 deaths.
Top.
Your teammates saying, I think, get another kill. Every single one of them is going to be spawning piano. Although it's not this smart push to have, all you need to do is make sure you just jiggle this. Instead of laying down here and giving up the map control, they're all going to spawn out. Your teammate have just spawned in. What you need to do is trust your teammate to get that closet and jiggle this. Go to this catwalk, make sure no one's coming across it. Wait for yourself to heal up, obviously. Go to the catwalk, make sure no one's across it. And then if you can guarantee no one's crossing the catwalk, come out of the catwalk and chow everyone. They're going to be, just so you know, they're going to be spawning here and running for free into bedroom like that. If you just make sure you can guarantee no one's coming catwalk for a second and then chow overwards, they are going to be so surprised to see you there. They're going to be a little bit weak pushing into bedroom. Play your life. Don't overcommit to a chow. Play your life. Get them weak. Get a kill if you can, if it's a freebie. But you need to be that cut off across this lane because you're the furthest one pushed up. That's what you need to do. That'd be more influential completely than what we did here. Unfortunately, teammates did lose the gunfights, which is really tough. You get a good 2-piece there. Play your life.
He's weak patio.
Yeah, you're going to get pushed out there. That's for free. That's fine.
They spawned out.
Kitchen got me.
Okay, rule on Skyline. I say this to everyone. If on P4, you spawn here. When you run across, you should look right. Same thing on the other side. If you spawn here and you run to kitchen, look left. You get parallel spawns so frequent on this hill because all it needs is one of each player back here blocking this back spawn, and both teams are going to spawn out. So as for every time you spawn out, whether it's piano, you look across to kitchen. If you spawn kitchen, you look across to pool. Every single time on P4, that's what you should be doing.
Kitchen got me. One's kitchen, one's back point.
Got two in the back.
Kitchen dead.
If you'd have,
Alright, we need to start making moves, guys. Next one.
they'd be spawning kitch.
One's at Nick's.
Two cat.
Yep.
Got one. One shot. He dropped.
3 down, 3 down.
Still spawn P4.
That's fine. You will spawn P4. That's fine.
There's one piano, one piano. 2 piano.
Go through there. So what I would love to have seen is P1's active. Your team is spawning out still. They're going to be spawning back here. what you could have done and when they spawn here, they're going to be facing this way, ready for gunfights towards P1 because that's where you are. They know you're coming from this direction. So any challenge you do from this side is going to be a really easy read. What I'd have loved to seen you do when you got to this U area and you wiped out the player in kitchen is just continue that push around. Maybe go top bedroom, maybe go top piano from that way. Do something like that. Go all the way around, but be really mixy as a sub. Just try and get these spawns. Don't forget, it's not just the AR's player's responsibility to get that spawn. So that's a really like a massive opportunity you potentially missed out on here. Although I don't mind this, your teammates just spawned in, which tells you the enemies aren't over here. So you might have a couple maybe coming from piano, but you need to be very careful that the enemies are now this side. Your teammates just spawned in. They won't have spawned in unless your enemies were over here. But I don't mind if you're playing playing the cut with the sub. You get that kill, and then you need to focus the other side because that's where they're going to be spawning. It's all about the minimap. Solo queuing is literally all about getting the info from the minimap. Did we know that player was there? There was a player top cat at some point. We didn't see them. Yeah, we should have read that. Or we should have read someone was there. They're a massive player right now. That player is still alive. We need to kill them. Let's look for them. How long of this time is left? I need to see. Okay, 20 seconds, net minus. Nice. That's really good hill time.
I spawned in here. Yep, one's top bed.
Yeah, kitchen right now. 2 kitchen.
Top bed dead.
Really good gunplay. I'm enjoying what I'm seeing so far.
Bottom piano, bottom piano. Zip, 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 zip.
Zip, one shot, zip, one shot. Good shot.
One in the back.
Piano dead.
Again, I don't know if I've seen you use these once. And now would be a real nice time to use them. Like, you've got people pushed out a little bit. You've got someone on the right. What you don't have is the underground route. So I'd love to have seen you just throw a dead nade just to send extra stun down the elevator shaft just to see if anyone's coming that way.
One going piano stairs for sure. Piano.
He's dead.
One's back steps, I think.
He's dead.
You don't want to wait till you know an enemy's there to use it. Okay, that's a good. You use the stun, which is good, but it's because you already knew someone's there. You've got to use it to deter a push. Okay, you've got a teammate down below you who should be. Oh no, they're above you. Throw a nade down here. What's stopping you throwing a nade down here? Especially when you know there's going to be a little bit of time because they're going to have spawned in.
I got kitchen door.
Pool, I'll just drop him. Pool. He's going piano stairs. Watch the hop up.
There's 2 on.
Stairs.
Okay. I don't mind this. This is just your teammates, unfortunately, letting them through, which you don't really have much control over. But at the point your teammate died back here, I would have loved to see you turn around. I think you go to turn around and then change your mind, but you should have turned around and prioritized these players here first because they're the most likely ones that are going to kill you. You instead focus on piano, and you do get a 2-piece, but if you'd have focused the back door there instead of the side, you probably would have had a better success. But you did enough. You got 2 kills. Your teammates cleared up after you. That's a real nice play, to be fair.
Got you. Oh, he's bar new. He's going.
Oh, he
He's
got
pushing
me.
that grill.
Fucking elevator.
Pause it.
He's one shot.
I spawned here.
He's one shot.
Okay. Because you've just got...
There's 2 on.
There's 2 down. That's another 2 down. And you spawn in. They are always... When P2 is live, if you spawn here, you can always guarantee, like, as simple... If you really want to simplify the spawns on Skyline, they're going to spawn the opposite corner to you, okay? So you've spawned here. They're going to see spawn in there. What I would have loved to see you do from this position is run through gym and just cut them off kitchen again. It would have been such a nice play. At most, especially because 4 are mostly coming off spawn, you do end up getting a kill from the player who comes through the side plat, but you've got 3 teammates here who can pick that up. You don't need to do that as well. You can be way more influential. And to be fair, whether you decide to go round P1 into bedroom and pinch art and then pinch you instead of just hitting through gym, something you need to... There's 25 seconds left. There's 4 players up. You need to be much more aggressive than you're being towards where the enemy team are spawning. But yeah, I don't mind that. And that would have enabled a better setup at P3 that we have here.
Spawn P4.
Okay, you've all spawned bedroom, which is quite a nice spawn. Your teammates, they're going to be aware of your spawn though, unless they're not entirely sure how the spawns work. Good couple of kills. You've got an enemy behind you. You're probably going to get pinched.
Table, weak.
Yeah. That was readable. Again, it's just minimap knowledge. Just understanding where the enemy is coming from at all times.
Table and fireplace. He's
There's one on pool.
That's two.
Watch out, wait. Watch out, wait.
That's
Okay,
two.
we spawned in. We're really nice. They're going to be spawning the opposite side of the kitchen to you. Let's see a stun and a nade out that way.
Oh, that's a flag.
No one's blocking. I would not be surprised if they spawn behind you. I know your teammates there. We're sound.
Closet.
One more you.
Big table.
We are very condensed. So you can see you've got 3 people on hill time here. You need to be spreading out a little bit. There's so much more of the map on Skyline than there is just this front entrance. You need to be spreading out. You can't just do what your teammates do. Make sure you're watching something different to your teammates.
Closet.
Again, it's all about reading the minimap.
One more you.
Get ready for new one. Get ready for new.
We went off this.
Counter.
Oh, we do win off this.
We went off this actually. Let's just stack it.
You're weak. You're weak.
I got big stairs.
Oh, I thought he had it because he jumped off.
It's gonna be a bedroom stack.
I think you're absolutely fine now. Yeah. Okay, so there's a lot of feedback on today's video. You get a nice 50 bomb there.
The 50 piece.
So what do I like? We'll go through what I like, what I think are good and be improved on, and then like a potential rank. So I really like your ability to move. You've clearly got, considering you don't use a controller frequently, as you said, you've got the ability to shoot straight, you've got the ability to move. There weren't many gunfights you lost because you weren't shooting straight. A lot of the gunfights were because you were outnumbered. You see here, that's just one of them, which we're going to get onto in a second. But yeah, your shots are good, your movement's good, and you've got a general idea of, you've got the perfect foundation of a solid player. And then to be fair, if there's 2 things you want to be good at COD at, movement and shots are 2 of the main pillars of being really good at COD. So those 2, although it's only 2 things, is really nice, all right? I also see you're very much conscious of being aggressive. You're happy to get the trade. You're happy to chase that red dot, and that's a real nice attribute sometimes. What I'm seeing a lot in this gameplay, however, is even when it means giving up a spawn or giving up a lane, you're still chasing a red dot rather than waiting passively, hold an iron and waiting for the enemies to come into that iron. There's a lot of times you get 2-pieced, or you get, sorry, not 2-pieced. There's a lot of times you have 2 people shooting you at once. That's because you're over aggressive. You need to slow down a little bit and wait for the kills to come to you sometimes, rather than having to feel like you have to slide into every single kill. And I think part of that's confidence in where they're coming from. If you knew the spawns down to a T, you'd be much happier playing a little bit slower, because you can guarantee an enemy is going to be coming into your irons, into your line of sight, without you having to move. So I feel like you could slow it down a little bit and chase red dots less. Another thing I would love to see is, again, a little bit more spawn knowledge never hurts. There's so many situations here where I was able to call out where the enemies are going to be coming from, and you just simply weren't aware of where they were going to be, because, again, that spawn knowledge, there's a little bit of a gap there. And the only way to fine-tune that is to just theorize the spawns, learn the spawn guys based on what I've done before, and then try and put it into action and just try and actively put reps into the game. There's one massive thing, and it's a massive bugbear of mine when I review gameplay, is it's the use of your stun, nades, and trophies. Because you're frying and you're putting bullets out to everyone, so you're getting a lot of limbs because you're running at every red dot, so you're putting bullets in everyone. You're a really fast-paced player. Okay, and that's really nice, and that's why you're getting a lot of limbs. The downside to that is we're sometimes giving up lanes. We're sometimes not holding the spawns we should be. Sometimes, similar to this one here, no, not this one, we're giving up lanes that nobody's watching, so we're not spreading them out. So we are literally just running head on to every enemy, which is good for your stats, but not better for your team. We're also seeing you hop on the hill time a lot when there's already a player on it on your team, which, again, is good because it helps your stats, it helps you get hill time, and you can say, look at how much hill time I've got. But because you've already got someone on it, it means you're giving up a lane just to get the same amount of score as a team as you would anyway. So those 2 examples of, like, playing overly aggressive towards the red dots on your minimap and just hopping on the hill time unnecessarily because even though your teammates are already on there, are things that are going to make your stats look better, but you're not going to win by as much because you're not covering the map as much. You don't have as much coverage of the map control. So those are 2 main reasons I'm seeing from this gameplay, that you might be really performing well individually, but your team's not winning by as much as they should be. But other than that, I think you're a really solid player. I definitely see you hitting crim. Like, you've got the ability to do it physically, like your technical ability. You just need to slow it down a bit. Like, try and play a little bit more intelligently. You're relying a lot on your gunny, which is good, but oftentimes you're dying from 2 people because you're putting yourself out there too much. You're giving up a lane because you want that limb, which is fine. but it does mean your games are all going to be really, really close. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. I hope you found this useful, and if you have similar gameplay like this, hopefully you've learned something as well. And yeah, sorry it's a long one. 50 minutes is a bloody long one. That's the record. I'll leave it for now. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao for now.